guys, so yesterday I'm still very weak from fasting. I'm still quite weak today from fasting as well. It takes a little bit of time to build your body back up after not taking in any calories for nearly a week. Also, having been sick for 2 weeks, I wasn't eating fully during those 2 weeks either. And it also takes a little time to pull your body out of detox as well. So yesterday I went to go into town to get some supplies because I'm often a little too headstrong and I feel kind of okay, and I say, okay, stuff needs doing, gotta get it done. And I jumped in the car, literally got Fritzy ready as well, and we were both ready to go. I got in the car, and as I turned the key and switched on the ignition, the number that came up on the clock was a number that I use with God, and God communicates with me to say no. And it's a very definitive number, and those of you who followed me a while know that I've also had this where we went to buy a vehicle and I got a horrible feeling that something was very wrong with this vehicle, and after a random chain of events jumped in the car, and at the wrong time of day the wrong time came up on the clock and told me no. Many people don't grasp this, communicating with God using numbers or using signs, but God will guide you however He needs to guide you. It's as simple as that. However your spiritual constitution and mental constitution is set up is how He will guide you. Perhaps He can do it more easily through dreams. This children's village, the concept was given to me by God in a dream. The idea that single mothers with disabled children can live together and thus care for the other children who are abandoned, or care for the children while the mothers go out and work, was given to me in a dream. So God will choose many ways to communicate with you. It might be in prayer, it might be a strong intuition. But after He said no, I needed some time to contemplate, and I came here to this new land, having just finished the construction for the sewage system for the new children's home. But we don't have the money for a new children's home, and it's not in sight as of yet. I don't know how God's going to do that. I am just waiting. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. So we're taking the first step. The sewage system is built. One thing done, check. Now we wait for God to do the next step, or to bring us the right person to do the next step. And I sat here, and the land, whilst I was here, I've never ever seen it. And I took it as a message from God, from nature. You know, I've said this before, all of us are susceptible to the influence of light. And that light being God. That light can influence our behaviours, our movements. And the way that works is an angle of light will come travelling from places in the universe that you and I don't even know. We can't even comprehend, can't even imagine. It'll go through your eyes, meet your pineal gland, and pass on photons which carry information, and thus give you a message or give you direction. That is a message of light travelling on an angle. It's an angel, a messenger of light, as far as I'm concerned. The languages are more romantic in the Bible, of course, but that is what it is. And I felt like this wonderful collective were there just for I. Now, maybe that's just very selfish and egoic, but it brought a great deal of comfort and peace to me. And it also jogged my memory about a few things. And as I sat watching these thousands of birds on this land, literally thousands, all different breeds. There were sparrows, there were what we call firebirds, tiny little red birds. There were these bluebirds with red cheeks that we know about. And they just moved constantly all over the land for around about 15 or 20 minutes. And it made me think of the Bible, and it made me think of all these stresses and woes that I often take on myself that I shouldn't. I should allow. Just hear something in the background, but it's goats, I can see. I shouldn't allow to come on myself, because as I know, my desires for these children are merely the desires of God. God brought me here. God wants these children cared for. And I guess he gives me those desires because they give me drive. But at the same time, because you're fulfilling the desires for these children, you battle with your ego because you take ownership. And this is when you need to humble yourself. This is when my pride, as all humans have, accidentally creeps in. You know, and it's not like a pride, oh, I did this. It's not like that. It's these children are my responsibility. What am I going to do to care for them? And it's a complete lack of humility and faith, and in forgetting that God ultimately did this for all. I was the one who was managing the builders and making the YouTube videos or building the charity, etc. God brought me here, and God directed me constantly and brought those persons into our life, like many of those of you who are watching, to help us. And I get overly stressed by doing that. I really do. And it's just, I think, natural. And I don't think God in any way dislikes it, because I think in some ways it's beneficial. But when I see these children, I do feel responsible. But they are God's responsibility. And my responsibility is then to stay close to God, make sure I can hear God so as I don't miss something. And the birds reminded me of that, because I obviously thought of the line that the birds of the earth do not need to sow and reap, and God provides for them, and are we not more important? Now, I don't actually think I'm more important than a bird, but that is how the Bible words it. And I don't think any life is more important than another. I think all life is sacred on its own level and expresses what it needs to in its own way. I thought of that, and I watched these birds, and it relieved so much stress in me. It relieved so much anxiety and worry in me. And it brought me so much peace that I did feel okay to be as egoic as to say that God had sent them as a message, because he knew. He knows me. He knows every hair on my head, as it is said in the Bible. And he knew what that image, that powerful image, would do to me. I got some footage on my smartphone. I might put it in the video, or I might have put it in already. He knew what it would do. He knew where it would bring my mind. And thus he knew the comfort it would bring me as well, I guess. So he was guiding me a great deal yesterday, stopping me from going to town and bringing me here, because he'd set me up a natural spectacle to relieve much of the stress that I'm struggling with, the same stress which is damaging my health, because it's suppressing my immune system, as stress does. But my immune system feels on top form after my fast, by the way. I feel strong. I think we all need to take something from that. You know, it's the only way you can serve God, is to be quiet enough and to be present enough to follow his signs. He can't manifest a physical angel by your side every day saying, no, God doesn't want you to do that, God doesn't want you to go that way. Because what would be the point in you having free will? But he can subtly whisper at you with numerical guidance, in my instance, with dreams, with nature. And he can say, hey, it's okay. I can say, hey, don't do that right now, it's not in your best interest. Or hey, go this way, I have something for you. Hey, go that way, I need you to help someone. And when you see it that way, and you understand that the enemy, as I call it, are those humans who follow the Luciferian doctrine and want your energy focused on them. They want you to worship idols. They want you to focus on the light that they create. They want you to focus on the false light reality of the media that they create for you. Nothing wrong with enjoying the odd movie from here and there, but I mean daily to believe and buy into that reality. To fear the nuclear war. Why would you fear it? If it goes off, it's over. They want this. This is the Luciferian doctrine on a spiritual level. Your fear is needed. Your concern is needed. But have faith. Have faith and be present in the original light. Be present in the original creation. And God will guide you every step of the way. And He will comfort you in any way He can. And if I know God provides food for all of those wonderful, beautiful little beings that were flying around here yesterday, and they live in nature without houses, without growing food. If God provides for all of them to have a chance to express life, to fly because they can fly, to sing just because they can sing, then I think really the only question is when we humans can get silent enough, what will the world look like that He creates for us? And up to now, all around me, here at Featherstail, is that world that He created around me whilst I was silent by directing me. John isn't part of the equation. John's a concept. I'm a human who emptied himself and allowed God to do the rest. And what He did was He built a community based on sharing, based on charity, based on no hierarchy, based on complete equality, based on being healthy, no TVs, no media influence. The only thing these women worry about are their children, their own progression and education, and looking after this land and the food that we're going to grow upon it. And I very much get the feeling that the tribes such as the Native Americans and the tribes such as those who still exist here in Tanzania, which are few and far between, that live a traditional tribal life, I mean, everyone else is still in a tribe, that when we're silent, this is how God would intend humanity to live, in its best possible form. You know, let me show you. These are single mothers. This is our main children's home. Here is our kitchen with its solar power. Here is a workspace, and here is the room that I live in. And inside this forest is where we will get much of our food, and we will tread as lightly as we can, excuse me. We will tread as lightly as we can upon this planet, upon this corner of the planet. We will live as in tune with nature as we can. We will try to be as fully sustainable as possible. And eventually, I'd love to be able to completely unplug us from everything, from social media, from the charity system, and just say this is a charitable community that survives by itself by farming. We sell food that raises extra money for people to get amenities and to get medical care for the kids. And the rest of it we eat. When I was silent, that's how God told me to live. When the birds are silent, He lets them know how to live. And all of that came about in me yesterday because I adhered to my numerical guidance. Came here without reason, really, and then observed an unbelievable natural spectacle that I see as being put on by God, that just relieved all of the stress and anxiety that I've had for the last few months, again, for all I've done this over and over again, because it reminded me, if He's providing for all of those little tiny beings to live so beautifully as one, surely I need to remember that He's going to provide for all of these as well, with or without me. Preferably with me, because I'm kind of attached to this place. God bless, guys. Bye.
His eye is on the sparrow. I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow. I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow. I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow. I know He watches.